I think we should go ahead and get started. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Welcome to the Tiger Alumni Week webinar. This is one called Creativity During a Crisis with Thomas Warfield. I am Lorianne Mako. I am the director for the NTID, Director of Alumni and Constituent Relations. Before I introduce you to Thomas, there's a few housekeeping things that I need to mention. Participants, you've joined in mute mode. However, if you have a question, they can be entered into the Q&A box at any time during the webinar. We will make every effort to address all of your comments. This webinar is being recorded and will be available later on for your viewing pleasure. If there's any technical questions, please put them into the chat box and someone will respond to you and help you get the technical answers resolved. We have some thanks that we would like to share. Our premier sponsor is Sharp Notions. Our Tiger sponsor is Rochester Regional Health. Both of them, thank you for making this week's programming accessible and possible. We also want to say thanks to our Access Service team for the interpreting and the captioning, for making this webinar accessible to all of our alumni. I also want to let you know, I would like to thank those that have contributed to Roar Day, which was yesterday, for the fundraising efforts for our students to support our students. We appreciate your support for our students. It means a lot. If you have not yet donated to Roar Day, there's still time. You can make your gift today. We're gonna put the link in the chat box for you. So if you're interested, click on that link and you can make your donation. We do appreciate your support. Now, I'd like to introduce Thomas. Thomas Warfield will be presenting on creativity during a crisis. He is an international performing artist. He was born and raised here in Rochester. However, he has lived in 6 different countries. He has performed on stage, to television, to film, in more than 100 cities worldwide. He's a singer, dancer, actor, model, composer, choreographer, director, producer, educator, activist, and poet. Thomas has been the director of dance at RIT for 22 years. His focus is the NTD Performing Arts. Thomas's impressive array of performances and experience include the Metropolitan Opera, a 17-year run at The Yard on Martha's Vineyard, a circus performance in Japan, as well as a performance and workshops in 3 US prisons. And finally, a command performance for the well-known Queen of England, Queen Elizabeth in London. At RIT, Thomas has created more than 36 dance performances on and off campus, including an East Coast tour of his original project called Astro Dance. Astro Dance combines dance and astrophysics. Astrophysics is a collaboration between the College of Science and NTID. The collaboration is funded through the National Science Foundation. Thomas is the former chair of the RIT President's Commission on Pluralism and Inclusion, as well as the Performing Arts Task Force. Thomas is the recipient of the RIT Diversity Trailblazer Award and the Alfred L. Davis Distinguished Public Service Award. Thomas, thank you so much for joining us. for this webinar, and the audience is yours.
Thank you, Laureate. Wow, you know, my bio took up most of our time, so let me get right to it. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm so excited to be here. Actually honored to be able to talk to you about dance at RIT, because I think it's very important that we always include performing arts when we are talking about education. So before I get started on what I was really going to talk about, let me just say that I think if we regard fostering creativity as one of the core values of education, the arts disciplines can and must play a central role in that. We need to understand, and actually we also need to articulate, both the disciplinary cohesion of the programs with arts and their interdisciplinary values. So the idea that I've had since I've been here is to connect dance to other areas of study at RIT. And the Astro dance was one of those ways. I think performing arts and education also provides students with an opportunity to engage their mind, body, emotions into sort of a collaborative expression. So the idea is that, you know, the mind, the body, the emotions, both the, you know, critical and creative thinking sort of come together to make the arts happen. So I wanted to sort of say that part as a kind of intro to what I was going to just spend a couple of minutes really talking to you about. So when COVID hit us in March, we were just at spring break, and we were informed that we were not coming back to campus, and everything, all the courses, all the classes, everything went online. Well, I thought to myself, wait a minute, how am I going to get dance online? We have a lot of students involved with dance. In the two courses that I was teaching, there were 35 students in each class. So that's kind of a lot of people to kind of figure out how are we going to dance on Zoom. Well, first of all, I didn't know what Zoom was at that time, so it took a little doing. And a lot of my students, well, some students are deaf, hard of hearing, there's hearing students, there's students, international students, there's students, of course, that come from all over the country. And so I thought to myself, how are we gonna all get in one place at the same time to try and dance? So we did try that a couple of times, but I had one student who was actually back home in China when this happened, and he really had little access to the internet. And really, you know, the time, well, even just people in California, the time difference, we couldn't really all get together at the same time. So I scratched that. And I used my creative thinking, and I thought, okay, we need to find an experience that we can have that involves movement and dance, but does not necessarily have to happen all together. We were already linked, of course, because of the class, and we were linked because of all the challenges we were all facing with COVID. And some of my students, I could say, were relatively upset. You know, they really couldn't focus on schoolwork because there were so many things going on. Some had members of their family had tested positive for COVID. Some had to quarantine and move out of their house and find another place. So there were all kinds of things going on. So I decided to ask them to do very simple assignments. One of those assignments was creating a dance in small spaces. So I actually did a dance for them first. I went, I have a grand piano in my living room, and I went under it and I created and filmed myself making a dance under the piano. And I explained to them that we're all kind of feeling confined, but even within the confines that we have at this moment, or any time in life. Life has times when we are confined. Sometimes you're in a job you don't like. Sometimes you have to live somewhere that it's not enough space for you or whatever it is. But then we have to sort of creatively figure out, how do we use that to our advantage? How do we benefit from what we do have? How do we take what we have and make a benefit for us and maybe even for others? So this, even though I was giving them a dance assignment, I was really, my underlying message for them was really to find meaning in the situation they found themselves in. To my surprise, they all did incredible work. So some of the students went in their closets and made a dance right in their closet in their bedroom. Somebody made a dance on the floor next to their bed. Somebody made a dance on top of their refrigerator in their kitchen. Somebody made a dance under their kitchen table. So there were all kinds of ways they figured out how to use movement to express themselves. So the whole idea behind dancing really is to express something, something about your feeling, something about what you think, a comment on the human condition or your circumstances, or just what you see in the world. So there's always some expression that happens with the arts, and dance in particular, in my case. So I was very excited that they all did it. Even my student in China, and they sent in their videos that they did on their phones. So in some ways, and then they wrote about them. And they almost all of them wrote something about the situation they found themselves in and how the dancing took them out of it, even though they were still right where they were, and the situation on the outside or the exterior or what they were going through physically had not really changed. But what dance provided for them was an alternate way of looking at their situation. So it changed something in them. It changed their whole thinking. It changed how they felt about the situation they were in. It gave them options. And that's actually the key that I explained to them later, that when you find yourself in a situation that is constrained or that is limited, what your job is to find where the limitless possibilities are in that limit. So I reminded them that in ballet, most of you probably know, but ballet was started in the court of Louis XIV. And it's because of King Louis that we actually have ballet, because he loved dance, and that's how it continued through history. But anyway, the dance masters at that time created a kind of codified language of the body that we call ballet now. And so it's not really a natural way of moving your body. Your feet are turned out, your legs are turned out. There's all kinds of things that you do in ballet that are not really natural to the body, but they are quite beautiful. But what is, you learn this, these structures, and you adapt your body to them. And then within that structure, within that limited way of moving, you find a way to express yourself, to say something. And often, because of the constraint, you find a way to say things that you would never find, or things about yourself or the world that you would never find to say or how to say without the constraint, because it forces you into creativity. And that's, in a way, that's the whole point. There was a famous cellist named Pablo Casals, and he once said that you learn the notes in order to forget them. And what he meant by that was that you learn your craft, you learn how this works, you learn this particular system, ballet, modern dance, tap dance, hip hop dance, whatever it is. And then within that, you find freedom. you find a way to express yourself that you would have never found before. And it's a sort of freedom in that. There's a release in that. And so I think in some ways that's what my students really found for themselves in this assignment of creating dance in a small space. And it was remarkable, really, to watch their dances. I mean, COVID has definitely been challenging for all of us, but in some ways, I feel my students and I got to know each other in a way we never would have in the classroom. And so I'm a little bit grateful that we had this opportunity to find ways to express ourselves. You know, the other thing is most of my, I'd say 95% of my students have never danced before. They're engineer majors, they're all kinds of other majors. We don't have a dance major. So they have all these other, their major work that they're doing, and they're interested in dance, or they want to know more about dance, or they're just taking that class because, somebody told them. But then they find out that there's more to it than just dancing. Um, the the um, the performing arts and education really provides students with an opportunity um, to find and hone skills that are applicable in other parts of their lives. So, for example, they learn self-confidence, they learn self-presentation, they learn self-awareness, self-discipline. They learn time management and organizing skills. Performing arts dance allows you to open your mind and allows you to open your mind in a way that's beyond boundaries in a sense. So what you thought you could do, now you can do even more. You didn't realize it. Communication skills are learned in dance. The analyzing, critical and creative thinking are all part of dancing. Dance is mathematical. Lots of dance is mostly on counts. The steps are on counts. So you have to, your feet might be in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, but your arms might be in a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you're training your mind to kind of evolve in a sense beyond just the sort of analytical kind of way of thinking. So, also the stamina. You build stamina as a dancer. You learn the ability to cope with criticism, because of course in dance there's a way to do this and then there's a way not to do this. So you learn that, and you learn how to not only take criticism but use the criticism to kind of better your dance. So in a sense, it's learning how to take what criticism comes your way, and instead of sort of pushing back on it as we often do, or resisting it as we often do, you actually transform that as a way of bettering who you are. So dance has a lot of skills that we learn in there. So I was just excited and happy that they that they did what they did. So that's what I have to say. I think we're going to try to take some questions now. And I really thank you for listening to me.
Well, I'd like to jump in just to see if anyone has any questions for Thomas. I don't see any yet in the chat or the Q&A section. And I know we need to wrap up soon. Thomas, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
As you said, I can't even imagine the challenging time that this has been teaching performing arts. But what have you learned? What has been most impactful for you as an educator throughout COVID?
Well, now we are actually back teaching in person. We're teaching dance classes on the stage. Everyone's masked and we're in these 10 by 10 boxes sort of that we've taped out on the stage floor. So everybody has their own little 10 by 10 box. Something I've learned, I think, is that no matter what the circumstances are, I can still deliver information, wisdom to my students where they gain something. So even when we were online, I could see them learning. And it really reinforced for me the importance of believing that education is important and keep going at it. No matter what's going on, the focus is educating, learning, teaching, that's it. And so if you can focus that without getting sidetracked, it does take care of you in a way.
I think we've learned so much in different things right now throughout COVID, through this time. We've all been forced to learn different ways, different approaches during these challenging times. But I think we've also grown. So thank you, Thomas, for your time. Thank you for presenting. Oh, I do see one question. I'm sorry, we need to wrap up, but I apologize to whoever asked that question. We're going to try to send this question to Thomas, and then we'll follow up with Thomas and try to get you those answers. But unfortunately, we have to wrap up because it's time for the next session. So again, Thomas, thank you so very much. I would like to remind everyone that if you would like to connect with the RIT Alumni Association through social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, online, we encourage you to do so. These links can be found in the chat box. I've really enjoyed this presentation. I've enjoyed Tiger Alumni Week. There's only a few sessions left. Everything has been so fascinating. So thank you all again. Thank you, Thomas. We appreciate your time. And thank you to Cheryl and Diana and our moderator. Thank you all.
Thanks.
Have a great night, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.